Okay, so it's time to judge now. So you're going to judge routine number 1, and then we will go over it. So good luck. Here we go. Let's take a look at her script. So let's try to use the same order all the time, every time you come up with your score, so you don't get in a rush. And then as soon as you start not using your same pattern to arrive at your score, you start to make mistakes. So let's all start with our value parts. Hopefully you have at least 3 A's, 3 B's, and 2 C's, which yes, she does. Let's read that routine. She does her long hang kip to the high bar, cast handstand B, clear hip handstand C, into the bail to handstand D. Then she does a kip squat on, then she does a long hang, another handstand B, into a toe on handstand, into a Tkachev D. And then she does another long hang, which the cast handstand after that does not get any value part because it's the third time. Giant, giant, and double layout dismount. So yes, she had her 3 A's, 3 B's, 2 C's. Her special requirements, she has a C flight. Yes, she has a D, and she has another D flight. She has a turn in the bail, and then she has a C dismount. Yes, she has an E dismount. So we're good there. Let's look at her bonus. She had the clear hip handstand to the D bail for a D +1. And then later she does the toe on handstand to the Tkachev for C to D +1. And then she has the E at the end for a +2. Her connection value was 2/10, and her DEs were 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have those over here. So we already know that she's starting at a 10 +1. Let's see if there's any deductions compositionally. She does have 2 bar changes. She has good direction change. She has her skills. Does she have a forward? No, but she has a C turn, the bail, and she has a 3, 6, 7 skill, the toe on, or the clear hip. So she's got 2 out of 3. She doesn't have more than 1 squat on. Everything else is okay. Level of releases, she's got a D release and a D release. So we know that's no deduction. And her dismount is an E, so we know that's no deduction. So the only things we have to take off are the little execution errors that she had. And so let's move on and see, and you can see here's our deductions. If you're between a 9.2 and a 9.35, you're in the right ballpark for this routine. I do think we're going to see it in slow. A little lacking extension here. She definitely is in the handstand range. Head is out a little bit. Clear hip is in there as well, but there might have been little arms coming up. And the bail to handstand is just pushed over a little bit. We took 05. Flexing feet on the squat on. Little lack of extension there, and a little tiny bit short from the vertical. The toe on had a little bent arms going around. And the Tkachev was really kind of low. We want to see that much higher and more rotated with her legs. Notice the taps are a little bending on the way around the low bar. So that was routine number 1, and we're ready to go on to number 2. Here we go. Here is our script. So let's take a look. Do we have 3 A's, 3 B's, 2 C's? Yes, we do. She went kip squat on, long hang, cast handstand, giant half into her Jaeger, C to D, and then long hang, cast, not to handstand. Then she did a bail over the low bar, which doesn't get raised higher to a C because it didn't come from a handstand. Then she does a kip on the low bar, cast handstand, Stalder into the toe shoot to the high bar, C plus C, long hang, another cast, not to handstand, and then giant full to the double tuck. So she had some execution errors, but let's look at her start value. She had a C flight, she had a C turn she had a B turn for the bail. And then she had a D turn for the giant full. And then she had a C dismount. So she was okay there. Her bonus was the giant half to the Jaeger, C to D plus 1. And then she did the 2 different 3, 6, 7 scales, the Stalder to the toe shoot for plus 1. And then giant full to the double tuck, D to C plus 1. So if we add all that up, we had 3 in connection, 2 in DE. She had requirements, so she starts at a 10. She did have execution errors, but let's check her composition. She had her direction change, so she's okay there. She had her skills. She had 3, 6, 7 skills and a turn, so that's all right. Nothing else was a problem there except her level of releases. She had a D release, a B release, and a C release. So we're looking at the D and the C, and they're isolated. They weren't together. So that comes up to a 1/10 deduction in release level. And her dismount, she had the no problem there with the giant full D into the C. So she just had the 1/10. Now let's say there's probably some dynamics that could be taken here, but her deductions, the biggest ones were on the Jaeger. It was close to the bar. We're going to look at that with her arms bent. She didn't make those handstands, so her angle deductions were there. She had bent arms on her Stalder, amplitude on the toe shoot to the high bar, and then she had a really poor giant full with her body position, her legs apart and angle late, and so we had at least 3/10 on that. And the dismount itself had amplitude, landing, air, and feet. So our score is down at the lower to mid 8s. So you should be in the 8s, probably below an 8.7 for this routine. So let's watch her in slow. A little late, little Archie, and now here we go. She's got flex feet really close to the bar and very bent arms and body position. So 3 to 4/10 is good. Her release, which is supposed to be finishing the salto above the level of the high bar. And now she's supposed to have rotation and get those legs behind her, but she's almost biting the bar there. So there's a lot that we could deduct. And now she's going to do the, I'm gonna let her get to the toe shoot and we can talk about that too. Short handstand. So she's gonna do her Stalder. Notice the feet and the knees and the arms. And now we're looking for her hips, the level of the high bar on this, which they are not. We have up to 2/10 for amplitude for this skill, as well as 1/10 for rotation. We had 0.15 on that skill. And now she's going to finish. She's going to do her short handstand or giant full, where she almost lost it, but she kept it together into the dismount, which was kind of low. The trajectory just kind of went downhill. So that's why we're down at the 8.3 to 8.5 range. I'm going to go on to number 3. And here are our scores. Starting at the beginning, we had our A's, B's, and C's. So she began with her kip and did her handstand on the low bar. She did the ray, the Stalder shoot to the high bar. Then she did a bailed handstand connected, and then she did a Stalder on the low bar right out of it into another release, a toe shoot to the high bar, which was like 10 times better than the girl before. Long hang kip, cast handstand, giant, Tkachev, D. And then she had another long hang kip, a handstand that was not there, and a giant half into giant blind into the double front E dismount. So yes, she had all of her difficulties. She had a C flight, she had a different flight, she had a turn in her giant blind into the dismount, and she had the dismount. So we already know that's all there. Let's add up her bonus. She had a lot of bonus in a row, which was really exciting. So she had the D, Stalder shoot to the high bar to the bail to handstand D, so there's +2. Then she had from that to a Stalder handstand on the low bar C, +1, into the toe shoot C, plus another 1. So right there, she had 1, 2, 3, 4 in connection and 1, 2 Ds. So she's already got 6. Then she did the D to Tkachev, so now she's got 7. And then she does the C turn into the E dismount for +1 and the E, so 3 more. So she had 1 point worth of bonus in that routine. So yes, she was a 10 +1, but little deductions. It was kind of like just a little half here and a half there, not a lot. The things that I'd like to point out were the amplitude she had on her toe shoot to the high bar. The Tkachev did need more amplitude. That was actually her biggest deduction. And the dismount, it was mostly the landing. Otherwise, it was pretty nice. She had no compositional deductions at all. Our score range was 9.3 to 9.45. I'd say 9.3 to 9.5 anyway. If you're in that range, that's where we should be. So I'd like to look at it in slow so we can appreciate the differences between the 8.3, 8.5 girl and this girl. So here's her Stalder release. She has a little pike on the backswing there. And she has pretty good amplitude, and the handstand was right there. Stalder, pretty nice. Look at the amplitude there compared to the girl before. She could extend all her kips a little bit more. And now she's going to do her tkachев, which could add a little more amplitude and rotation. And now here comes the dismount. She had a little late turn, but she opened it up and landed. She just had some feet separation. So that was a really good routine. So if you're anywhere around a 9.3 to a 9.5, you're in good shape. All right, we're going to number 4. So it was another good routine. Let's look at her difficulty. She had a cast handstand on the high bar into a Hindorf, which was the clear hip to the Tkachev over the bar. Then she did another long hang. Then she did another handstand at a little bit of angle, clear hip handstand on the high bar into a pack to the low bar with a little bit of deduction in amplitude and support. Kip on the low bar, cast handstand half turn, and then a toe circle around, long hang cast, third cast handstand doesn't get credit, and it got a 10th in amplitude anyway. And then 2 giants, and then the dismount. Now, the thing we might differ on is if you gave that dismount a D or an E. We called it a lay pike because she went stretch, pike, stretch. She didn't do a total layout all the way around. So we only gave that a D. So therefore it affected her start value. We have bonus, we have E for the Hindorf, then we have a C to D for the clear hip to the pack, D1. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have a D for the dismount 5. So that gives her a 10.0 start because she had all her requirements. But if we gave that the E for the double layout, we would have had to take execution. She would have got 10 plus 1 because then she would add 6 tenths in bonus, but she might have had more execution errors and it would be a wash, or it would even hurt her. You have to go with what your hand writes down. So if my hand writes down that there's a pike in there, then it's a D. So overall, it was well executed. We had a little lack of amplitude on the E release because it could have been a little higher and a little farther away from the bar. And then the pack had a deduction because it didn't finish in clear support. And we'll talk about that when I show you that in slow. Other than that, just a short angles on other things, a little bit of arms on the giants, and the dismount was okay. Only had 5 tenths in deduction. So she ended up with a 9.5. So she had everything. She had her turns, she had her flights, she had 2 D flights, she had a D dismount. So she really was doing everything she needed to do. It's just that it would have been a higher score had the dismount been stretched all the way. So let's watch her in slow. Nice handstand there. And there's the clear hip to the reverse. She's got a little bit of arms there. And another handstand there, just tiny bit short. Clear hip. Now she's going to do the pack. Stopped her right there because I wanted you to see the angle she's catching the bar at. So she's supposed to catch the bar with her shoulders over the bar. So when we see a pack, what we want to see is their hips rotating at the height of the high bar in the air, in the salto, and we want their shoulders over the bar when they catch. Her shoulders are going to be behind the bar. So she's behind the bar now, she's caught the bar, and she kind of swings aggressively into that kip. Then the handstand half turn was a little late on the angle, and now we have a little lack of extension there, a little short on the handstand here. and giant, giant, and now she's going to show us pike open. So that's why we gave that a D, not an E. So hopefully you are still in the mid-9 range, whether you gave it a D or an E. And hopefully you saw that the Pax-Salto had deductions as well as the Hindorf she did was a little close to the bar with a little bit of arms and feet. All right, we're going to see one more. This is our practice round, and then we're going to do the test. Okay, that was our last practice one. And now we're going to see who is the winner today of this 5-person competition. So hopefully you felt like this routine was the best. So let's look at our scores. So we had a kip and a cast, and then she did the Maloney, and then she did a bail to handstand right out of it. Then she did a clear hip right out of it, and then kip, long hang, cast handstand. Now here we go with one of our new D skills, because she did the toe on half to reverse grip into the dismount, the double front E, which was nicely done. So we had all of our requirements. She had her different groups. She had her turns and her toe-ons, and that was all good. Her release level was a D to a D, so that was good. And she had an E dismount. So if you add it all up, we've got 1 point in bonus, including an E. So she will be a 10 plus 1. We didn't have much in deductions, a little bit of body position on the kip, a little bit of body position on the Maloney, the bail to handstand, maybe 05, maybe you took nothing. Same thing on the next kip. And then a little body position on the long hang kip, the handstand, the giant half, we didn't deduct. And we had a total of 1 on the dismount. So we ended up in the 975 range. So let's look at her and see what we like the best. She could extend that. See, her head is pulled forward a little bit. And she had tiny legs up. Here she's got the backswing at horizontal, which is what we're looking for. And the bail to handstand was right there. Clear hip. Nice line. Hip out of it needs a little more extension. There as well. There's our D skill into the E dismount. Nice height above the bar, rotating and landing with just a little bit of a adjustment, a little staggered feet. So overall, that was a beautiful routine, and it won our meet today.